Now from the station on your side, you're watching Wavy News 10.
A child and a man shot in Portsmouth. How that young girl is doing tonight and reaction from a neighbor. Bond denied. Hear from concerned families after police say an armed man entered a church where kids attend preschool. Sheltering students from dangerous drugs. New at 5, the proposal to put students on the fast track to success and sobriety.
But first, someone shot a man and a 12-year-old girl in Portsmouth, and we're told that man is fighting for his life. Good evening, I'm Tom Shad.
And I'm Aisha Tolliver. This happened near Hobson Street last night, and 10 on your side's Ashley Knight joins us now with an update on how the girl is doing, Ashley.
Well, Aisha, Tom, we learned not long ago the 12-year-old girl who was shot suffered non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to recover. Now, I talked with neighbors who are sharing different stories about this neighborhood.
Around 8:40 Monday night, Portsmouth police say 2 people were shot, 1 man and a 12-year-old girl. They're now being treated in the hospital.
Really? Oh, God, sorry to hear that.
Police say it happened near Hobson Street and Arcadia Avenue. Denise Harding has lived on that corner for 30 years.
That was surprising that somebody got, shot. He really was.
Harding was asleep at the time, but her granddaughter who lives there heard the shot. They checked their surveillance cameras for that hour, but didn't see anything.
It's not common. Sometimes you hear a little something, but, not much.
Now, police have not released the names of the victims, and we don't know what their status is right now. Coming up at 6 o'clock, I'll tell you what another neighbor told me and why they decided to move to another part of the area. Ashley Knight, 10 on your side.
And a judge in Virginia Beach has denied bond to a man accused of bringing a gun to a church. So Logan Thorpe will remain behind bars for the charge of having that weapon in a place of worship that's also home to a preschool. And court documents say Thorpe had 9 long guns and 1,000 rounds of ammunition in his truck. Families at court today shared their concerns with 10 on your side photojournalist Robert.
26-year-old Logan Paul Thorpe faced a judge asking to be released from jail following his arrest outside the Bayside Presbyterian Church, which has a preschool program, last week. He is charged with possession of a firearm on a school property.
I don't care what the fact is. You came into my kid's school area with a loaded gun. There really is nothing else to discuss.
Inside the courtroom, church and staff members listened to Thorpe's attorney saying that he did have family ties to the church and that he did enter the church with a handgun, but he had no intentions to harm anybody, and that he was just seeking a pastor.
The minute that individual stepped through the threshold, he became a total threat to all of those children.
Former church member and grandfather to a preschooler, Thomas Wood, also heard Thorpe's attorney point out how Thorpe was living in his truck and had a criminal record in Florida, and recently was involved in a motorcycle accident resulting in extensive injuries. Already having 6 surgeries since the accident, 3 more are ahead of him. The church's pastor sent a letter home to the parents of the students, some parents saying it was sympathetic towards the defendant. This parent not wanting to be identified.
Pastor is doing her job to ensure that there is comfort and peace throughout the school, and a letter addressed to the parents. At the same time, I think it was meant to pacify, which I can respect, but we do need to highlight the overall problem, which is that a person was on the premises with a loaded firearm.
According to court documents, beside the loaded gun, Thorpe had 9 long guns and 1,000 rounds of ammunition locked in a safe inside the pickup truck he drove to the church.
There's only 1 bullet in each chamber, right? So, it depends on how many were in the clip and that wasn't substantiated today, but that's not to say that he couldn't easily access the guns that were in his truck.
Prosecutors pointed out that Thorpe was a former member of the Boy Scouts that met at the church, and that he was very familiar with the layout of the building.
This young man needs help, and he needs to be helped from within the system, not from outside the system.
Beach prosecutors also pointed out not only was he a danger to the community, but also to himself. His next scheduled court appearance is in April. Robert Rizzo, 10 on your side.
Turning now to bracing for the cold. You think it's chilly now? Oh, just wait until tomorrow morning. Wind will make it feel well below freezing when you head to work and the kids go off to school. Chief Meteorologist Jeff Edmondson explains just how cold we're talking, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll see some single-digit wind chills, but mostly wind chills will be in the teens tomorrow morning. So it's going to be a cold, windy start to the day tomorrow. Expect a strong wind out of the northwest tomorrow. Our temperatures are in the 30s and 40s right now. Hasn't been a lot of wind throughout the day today. The sunshine also helped out a bit too, so it wasn't too bad today, even though it was colder. But here's a look at what we could see coming up for tomorrow. Temperatures will be in the 20s in the morning and wind chill values in the teens. 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. at 18 degrees. The wind chill will feel like it's in the 20s then for the rest of the day, with air temperatures being just around or mid-30s across our area. So we have that cold weather that we'll see for tomorrow. And also what we could see in the middle of the night tonight, you can see in northern Virginia into West Virginia, there's a couple of snow showers. We might see a couple of flurries or light snow showers push through our area overnight. Midnight, 2 a.m. is kind of the rough timeline for it. It's not worth staying up for the watch and to see the snowflakes come down, because it's going to be a very fast-moving area of a couple of flakes of snow. It will not be the type of snow where we get accumulation or have slippery roads tomorrow morning. One, it'll be too windy for it, and two, there's just not that much moisture with it. See how it already moves out by around 4 o'clock. So a couple of flurries possible, but otherwise just a couple of snowflakes for tonight. Tomorrow we're looking at sunny skies and colder temperatures. So again, for tomorrow, clear skies. Our temperatures will be in the 20s and 30s throughout the day. The wind chill value in the teens to 20s. So you'll need to bundle up as we go into the day ahead. The afternoon, not much warmer, around 35 degrees.
Thank you, Jeff. The case against a man accused of breaking into a girl's room in Virginia Beach and sexually assaulting her is moving forward. 35-year-old Ricardo Mejia faces 3 counts of rape, entering a home to commit assault and battery, and indecent liberties.
This is in relation to an incident that happened back in October. Today, the judge certified the charges, sending them to a grand jury and ultimately circuit court. Coming up on Wavy News 10 at 5:30, we're learning about the driver in a deadly crash in Norfolk this past weekend. Our Stephanie Hudson spoke with a family member about his life and shares their message to the family of the other victim.
Temptation and triggers. Those are the dangers lurking in the halls of high schools for teens battling addiction. New at 5, a proposed solution.
But first at 5, continuing coverage of the Richmond water crisis. The mayor outlines the recovery phases.
You're watching Wavy News 10 at 5 with Tom Shad, Aisha Tolliver, and Chief Meteorologist Jeff Edmondson.
Richmond may have water back, but the investigation into last week's crisis is just beginning.
New Mayor Danny Avula is laying out his plans to move forward. The mayor announced the money that would have gone to his inauguration ceremony will now instead go toward reopening an emergency response fund, similar to what we saw with COVID-19. The city is looking at independent firms to review what happened. The next phase, examining the city's emergency preparedness protocol, could take more than a year. The final phase could take about a decade, and could cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
How do we create more resiliency, redundance, less dependence on one solo water treatment plant? This really feels like an opportunity to look at the whole regional water system and figure out what long-term investments can we make that create multiple sources of water. You know, when one goes down, how do we shift to another river and another county?
Richmond leaders say they plan for a chosen firm to begin the after-action review as soon as possible, and within 30 days, they hope the in-depth analysis will be complete. High school can be a challenging experience, even more so for a teen struggling with addiction. New at 5, the proposed safe haven to help students get back on track.
Southern California is on high alert. How strong winds could spell disaster for crews battling those raging wildfires.
From the station on your side, you're watching Wavy News 10 at 5. From the station on your side, you're watching Wavy News 10 at 5.
A mother who lost her daughter to a drug overdose hopes to save lives of other teenagers.
She is proposing a recovery high school, a safe place for teens battling addiction to continue their education while on their sobriety journey, free from the temptation and triggers of normal high school. 10 Your Side investigative reporter Chris Horn joins us live with more on this proposal for Harbor Hope Center. Chris?
Yeah, Tom, right now, Virginia has only one recovery high school. That's in Chesterfield near Richmond. So this would be a first for Hampton Roads. And it is a passionate project for board member Carolyn Weems. She lost her daughter Caitlin to a heroin overdose 10 years ago. That had progressed out of prescriptions for opioid painkillers for sports injuries that she had. Harbor Hope Center would combine resources to lift teenagers out of the crisis of addiction while also giving them a standard high school education. It would be voluntary and not a form of punishment, and Weems says that is important for true recovery.
Yeah, and I think data shows if you're not ready or willing to work at your recovery, it's probably not going to be too successful.
This will serve not only Virginia Beach, but 4 other school divisions on the south side: Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Suffolk. And it will likely not be located here in Virginia Beach. I'll have more on that part of the story. Plus, we're covering the meeting tonight that starts at 6 o'clock. That'll be coming up on Wavy News 10 at 11 and at 10 o'clock on Fox 43 as well. We're live in Virginia Beach. Chris Horn, 10 on your side.
Look forward to seeing that story. Congratulations are in order for the Princess of Wales. Princess Kate announced her cancer is in remission. This comes after her visit to the London hospital where she was treated. There, she expressed gratitude to the medical teams who helped her and offered support to patients now undergoing treatment.
Continuing coverage now of the deadly wildfires in California. Yeah, did you hear that? That is the sound of disaster for firefighters. Powerful Santa Ana winds are whipping up flames in Southern California. Those winds sparked a new blaze, the Otto Fire in Ventura County. 13 million people are under dangerous red flag warnings, and this is just the latest obstacle as fires continue to devastate the greater Los Angeles area, destroying more than 12,000 structures and killing at least 24 people.
I think it's important to note, too, how quickly these fires come up and giving people just mere minutes to get out.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Leaving so much behind.
Yeah.
And the way how those Santa Ana winds develop is quite scary, too, how it all forms out. So I put together a map. Let's take a look and see kind of how these Santa Ana winds form. If you're not from this part of the world, you may not be too familiar with what these are. I'm not from this part of the world, but we did learn about these back in college. So Santa Ana winds, you get strong winds coming from an air mass in the Great Basin area of California, where it's very dry. So you already are tapping into a dry air mass. That wind is swirling down and surging down the sides of the mountains, and you can get those speeds like we saw in the news last week of 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. So you get extremely strong winds coming from a source of dry air. What also happens when wind is coming down the side of a mountain, it tends to heat up a little bit too. So the air temperature increases. The humidity doesn't change. That stays the same. So the relative humidity, I don't use that term very often because it's confusing with dew point, but the relative humidity drops even more as the temperature rises. So the air is even drier. If the air were to cool, it would get closer to that dew point and the relative humidity would be higher. But in this case, it gets lower. So all of these factors work together, and that's why Palisades Fire right here and all the other fires that are going on around spots in California are a big concern with those strong winds sliding down the mountainside and heading towards the ocean, moving offshore essentially. We're seeing calm conditions right now. We are going to see the wind increase as we look ahead to tonight. Our temperatures are in the 30s and 40s across Hampton Roads right now. 40 in Virginia Beach. We're at 39 degrees in Elizabeth City, 44 degrees in Edenton. 30 degrees only in Melfa right now. The wind, not a big deal right now. It's pretty light, but look at the wind that we'll see later tonight. Strong winds out of the north. Onancock, Cape Charles, 30-plus mile-an-hour gusts, 25-mile-an-hour gusts in Virginia Beach and Suffolk and Newport News. That's around 5 o'clock in the morning. By noon tomorrow, the wind is still pretty strong. We're seeing those wind gusts around 25 to 30 miles an hour eastern shore. Wind gusts around 20 miles an hour in the Hampton Road cities and into northeast North Carolina. Tomorrow evening, the wind starts to die off, except on the eastern shore. So we'll see a breezy day, cold day tomorrow. Thursday, the wind is out of the southwest, and eventually we'll get some warmer air to move in. But there's so much cold air that has pushed in across the East Coast, we're not going to see the instant warm up in one day with southwesterly winds. It'll take a couple days, and you'll notice a warm up by the weekend. Here's a look at the wind chill tomorrow morning. Yikes, 10 degrees what it'll feel like in Williamsburg, 12 for Norfolk, 13 degrees in Chesapeake. The wind chill tomorrow afternoon will be in the 20s. So you're going to need to have that warm winter gear all day tomorrow. Our temperatures tomorrow will be in the 30s for highs, 40s. Remember, the wind chill is what it feels like on our skin or on our pets, so bring those pets in if they're outside. They don't like to be out there, except like those big husky dogs. They can kind of handle it a little bit more, but that's a different situation. My dogs, I have Jack Russells. They're not even going to want to go outside tomorrow. We're going to see clear skies for this evening. Clouds roll in overnight with a little snow on the way. A couple of snow showers at around midnight to 2 a.m. tonight. We'll have that move out then by morning tomorrow. Sunny skies, just a cold day for our Wednesday. Not seeing any big storm systems for this week. We're still watching for that chance for rain that moves in Saturday afternoon. Saturday morning looks dry. Saturday afternoon, evening, we'll have some rain. Sunday, there's a chance for a mix. I think this model's still going way too much for the snow. With that northwesterly wind, the air will be too dry, so we could get a little bit of precip here, maybe some rain, the snow, but I'm not concerned about being a big winter storm as it looks right now. We'll let you know if something changes with that, but it looks like it'll be too warm for any heavy snow at this point, with it being 48 degrees. 37 on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day with partly cloudy skies.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much. Your dogs and my dogs are one and the same. They do not like the cold. Well, the Wavy Weather app gives you live radar, the hour-by-hour forecasts, and access to weather blogs. The app is free for your smartphone and tablet.
My dog loves the cold, unfortunately. Oof. Just scan the QR code. The app automatically comes up once you have it turn on those weather alerts.
And November elections may be long gone, but they're certainly not over. New at 5, the battle over a seat on the North Carolina Supreme Court.
Virginia's legislators are busy in Richmond for the General Assembly session. At 5:30, the 3 possible amendments to the Commonwealth's Constitution. Right now, protesters in downtown Raleigh are reading the names of tens of thousands of voters that Judge Jefferson Griffin says shouldn't count.
Griffin ran for a state Supreme Court seat this past November. New at 5, 10 on your side's Dina Harley has more on calls for Griffin to concede.
The battle for a state Supreme Court seat continues.
This could be a messy enough case where we could even rely on this federal Supreme Court to determine the outcome of a state race.
As Republican Judge Jefferson Griffin, who trails Democratic opponent Allison Riggs by over 700 votes, tries to toss out some 60,000 votes he says were cast by ineligible voters. 2 recounts have already confirmed Riggs as the winner. If Griffin is successful, though, it may not impact other races on the ballot.
The State Board of Elections has interpreted current law as to say once an election is certified, it won't be changed.
That's unless the courts rule otherwise, but political experts we heard from say that's unlikely.
Even courts are very wary to overturn certified elections.
John Abraham Donahue.
In downtown Raleigh on Tuesday.
If Griffin succeeds, this is a crack in the foundation of our democracy as a nation, not just in our state.
Fritz Thomas McIver.
Protesters setting up camp outside of the state Supreme Court saying they'll be watching to make sure all voices are heard.
As soon as we start throwing out votes because we don't like the outcome of an election, we are departing from what it means to be a democracy.
Dina Harley, 10 on your side.
All right, now it's being considered both a federal appeals court and state Supreme Court, which means there's a chance the 2 will have conflicting rulings.
If that happens, we can expect more appeals and possibly even involvement from the federal Supreme Court.
Well, flu and COVID continue to spread as we go into the peak season. In our next half hour, hear from hospital leaders about the impact on emergency rooms.